Hey, what's going on, guys? Threat Level Midnight here, and today we're talking about muzzle brakes, specifically the clamp-on muzzle brake from Witt Machine. I've been wanting to try this for a long time because I have a 300 Winchester Magnum that I shoot out at long range, and recoil is pretty stout, and it's so stout that as much as I'd hate to admit it, I even bought one of these little pads that you see the old-timers shoot with, and that told me that I needed to do something. I had a problem. So the gun that I shoot, and I'll show it to you here, it's a Savage Model 110 Action. It's got a 26-inch McGowan barrel on it, an HS Precision stock, Matthews Fabrication cheek riser, a Night Force base, and a Schmidt & Bender PM2 with a Horus H25 reticle in it. But the barrel is smooth, and I shoot a 230 grain Burger match bullet out of here. So that's a real heavy bullet, and I run it hot. It's running just under 3,000 feet per second. So recoil impulse on this gun is huge. So I am really excited to try this thing out. From what I see, it does a pretty good job, and because it's clamp-on, it's not going to need to get sent out and machined by anybody, and I don't really feel like having to rebarrel my rifle and redo the headspace and everything like that. I have another 300 Win Mag here. This is just a Savage 110 Timberline, but it has what they call their Omniport brake on it, and any brake really does a decent job. Of course, I shoot a much lighter bullet out of my hunting Win Mag. This one's just a 180 grain Hornady CX bullet compared to this monster 230 Burger here. So this gun's real pleasant to shoot. I shoot a light load out of it, but I got to do something about this one, especially because I'm going to start shooting at real long range soon, and I don't want to sit out there all day and just get beat up. So let's take a close look at this muzzle brake. So when you get the Witt Machine, they call it the MB-1 clamp-on muzzle brake. It comes wrapped up. I chose the black Cerakote option. I don't want to have to deal with corrosion on the raw metal, so it comes in a nice matte black finish here. It's got 5 chambers and 20 individual little ports on the top to prevent some muzzle climb. And real simple installation. Basically, it just has 4 set screws and it slips over your barrel. And what you do is you measure at the muzzle and then 1.5 inch back. They want you to measure to the 1,000th of an inch, and then they machine it just for you. So I've already test fit this on, and it slips on like a glove. Like they machined it to my exact specification, and it slides right on in just a hair snug when you put it on. Overall finish of it is really nice. It's heavy and it's big. You can see how thick the steel is right here. But for a gun like my 300 Win Mag, the weight's not really an issue for me, so I don't really care. It comes with a couple of extra screws, a card with their contact info on it, some firearm safety rules, and the instructions. And now the instructions are super simple. It's just, unload your gun, clean the end of your rifle so that you don't have any oil or grease on there. Make sure there's no obstructions, and it gives you a little warning about the Cerakote needing 5 days to cure. But it says put 8 to 10 drops of blue Loctite just on the muzzle of your rifle, on the barrel end, and that's going to prevent this thing from biting in and help it seal up a little better around your barrel. And then basically you're just running running these little set screws in. It says to 14 to 15 inch-pounds, and it says if it comes on too tight, you can take these screws out and put them through the reverse side, and it will start spreading this open just a little bit so you can slip the brake on, and then you back your screws out. So basically all we're going to do is just slip it over the barrel, put a level on it once the gun's leveled, and tighten these screws down to the specs. So let's get into it. So pardon the mess in the background, but all I'm going to do is just, I got the muzzle end of my rifle here. I have like a lens wipe. Basically this is just an alcohol wipe, and it's going to just degrease everything that could be on there, clean it up a little bit before we start getting prepared. It's kind of phase 1. Alright, so I'm satisfied with that. Now let's level this thing off. So I got my barrel chalked up in a vise right here, and my scope's level from when we mounted it on the gun initially, so I'm just going to leave my bubble level on the scope turret. And once we're in position, I'll go ahead and lock this down. A little bit more. And we're good there. Alright, so the next step, we're just going to apply, it says 8 to 10 drops of Loctite on there, but basically you're just wanting to get coverage over your barrel here. and I'll wipe off the excess after we're done. There we go. And then we're going to end up Loctiting each one of these little cap screws. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-Loctite those, just with a drop on the end of each thread. And we're good there. So now, they did such a good job machining this thing to fit to my specs here. You can see I'll go ahead and slide this thing over the muzzle, and as it meets that taper, this last little bit, just with a little bit of pressure, slips right over, which is really nice. So now I'll go ahead and drop a level on here. They give you a nice flat surface to drop your level on. And we are leveled. Make sure we're seated there. So I'm just going to go ahead and start running these cap screws in, and then we'll go ahead and torque them to that 15 inch-pounds. Alright, so now we have our torque screwdriver set to 14 inch-pounds, and it said 14 to 15. I'm just going to go on the low end. There's 4 cap screws here, so it should be plenty. So I'm going to start in the back, and then I'm going to go to the front. I'm just going to alternate on these screws until we're done here. So I don't know your degree of experience with a torque screwdriver, but after you torque all the screws down, it's best to go back to where you started. And you see I'm getting a little bit more, got another quarter turn out of that back one, quarter turn out of the front one. And we're just going to repeat this process until they stop moving altogether. And that did it right there. So it took 3 iterations of running 14 inch-pounds to get these things to actually seat and stop at 14 inch-pounds. So now let's go ahead and just wipe off our excess Loctite here and clean this up a little bit. And thing feels rock solid. It looks pretty cool. So I really like it so far. It's of course it's going to be more bulky than just having a direct thread onto your barrel. But again, this gun isn't something that I'd pack around all the time. It's a real long-range gun that I'll be shooting prone or off of a tripod, so I'm not super worried about adding a little bit of extra weight to the muzzle end. Alright guys, so here it is all together. And like I said, I really like the way it looks. I mean, obviously the preferred method is direct thread, but I think this is a pretty good option, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to go ahead and push this gun over a mile next weekend and go ahead and test that recoil out, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.